Previously, you've learned about the Kubernetes architecture and you saw how all of these components do work together and what are their purposes. Now let's focus on running Kubernetes. When it comes to run Kubernetes, we can do it in a couple of ways. One, we can run it ourselves, which is really hard, or we can use a managed solution. Now, this is what most companies using Kubernetes in production do adopt, because it removes lots of overhead when it comes to maintaining the cluster. And the most popular managed Kubernetes providers are EKS, so Elastic Kubernetes Service, and this is from AWS. We also have GKE, so this is the Kubernetes, or actually Google Kubernetes Engine. And we also have Azure Kubernetes, which is from Microsoft. And obviously we have other cloud providers as well. But what does it mean to be managed? Well, if we start from our cluster, you saw that we have the control plane, right, which is made of all of these components. And what it means to be managed is that you don't have to worry about the master node as well as all of these services that run within the master node, such as the scheduler, the API server, the cluster store, control manager, cloud control manager, so on and so forth. So all of this is fully managed for you. And all you have to do is just focus on the worker nodes, and this is where your applications do run. So you see that now all of a sudden you remove a lot of complexity and you just have to focus on your application itself. So if you were to manage, for example, the master and all the services within it, the control plane, for example, managing the data store, etcd, replication, making sure that it's high available, so on and so forth, can be a lot of pain. Now, let me give an example of how EKS makes our lives much easier. So EKS, as I said, is a managed solution from AWS. And basically, they give you a cluster and then you decide how you want to run your applications. So currently there are two ways. You can run it using AWS Fargate. So this is mainly for deploying serverless containers, or you can run EKS using EC2. So this is where you deploy your worker nodes for your EKS cluster. So the difference between these two is that the EC2 is for long running applications, where the Fargate is mainly for serverless containers. So applications that don't need to be running all the time. And from this, you can see that it's much easier and you can then pretty much just run your Kubernetes applications. And this is really cool. Now, when it comes to learn Kubernetes, you shouldn't really be using these managed services because one, it's expensive, and it's not the best way of you to learn Kubernetes. So these managed services, they're used when you want to take your application to real users or testing environments. So to run Kubernetes locally, i.e. to create a local cluster, there are three main solutions out there, or there are others, but these are the most popular ones. So we have Minikube, we have Kind, and we also have Docker. All of these three solutions allows us to basically create a local cluster that allows you to play around and learn Kubernetes. Now, just to be cautious here, these three solutions are mainly used for learning purposes. It's mainly used for local development or continuous integration. And as I said, so this is an important note. Do not use it in any environment, including production. Now, for this course, we're going to use Minikube, and this is because Minikube has a great community, lots of add-ons and features, and it has great documentation. And also, you'll see plenty of tutorials out there based off Minikube. Now, the installation process, it's really simple. All you need is to have Docker installed and then Minikube, and off you go. Next, let's go ahead and install Docker and then Minikube on our local machine.